Welcome everyone to Coast, the official podcast of the West Coast Eagles Footy Club. It's great to be back, of course. There have been a fair few name changes over the years. Squawk Talk, probably a time to forget there. The West Coast Eagles podcast. That was definitely an all-nighter in the content planning session, that one. Back Chat, now under the Will Schofield stable, and currently Coast to Coast. This is season number 13 of the show. It's taking on a bit of a new look for 2025, so really hoping the Eagles fans can get behind it so it can continue for years to come. Make sure to tune in each week, send it to your mates, get amongst it. On Mondays, we'll be reviewing the match and discussing what's happening around the footy club. Is it a return of Eagle Review? Maybe in some form, but with the assistance of either afl.com.au reporter Nathan Schmook. He's a good WA man, been in the business for over a decade, and he really knows his stuff. Or it's going to be with former West Coast Eagle and Premiership player Xavier Ellis, which could be a wild ride indeed. Don't panic though, because we will be hearing from West Coast Eagles players throughout, as we've done in previous years, both past and present this year though. So with the changing of the guard, there's a lot of young Eagles keen to get on the airwaves. Plenty of personalities, particularly in the first year group. The Luca Gregos and Tom Gross, I reckon they'll have a bit to offer. Don't forget Harry Barnett, he's always banging down the door to be a part of what we're doing here. And don't forget for fans, the club is doing a 4-game multi-pass this year, all right? It's the most easiest and affordable way to get to matches this season. You can use all 4 tickets in one game or go solo to 04. If you don't have any mates, just fly the flag. Bring a buddy maybe for support. You can go 2 people, 2 games. There's plenty of flexibility to work with your busy schedule. So visit westcoasteagles.com.au/membership and get them sorted. Unfortunately, just an absolute brutal beginning to the 2025 season. After so much optimism against the Roos and the Tigers, you got 2 victories in the pre-season. You really get taught a lesson on the weekend against a quality Gold Coast outfit. They notched their biggest win in club history, 87 points. Let's get Nathan Schmook in here from afl.com.au and break it all down. Coast to Coast round 1, welcoming afl.com.au's lead reporter for WA, Nathan Schmook. They say you never forget your first, Schmookie, and boy have I stitched you up for your debut this week, just taking on the 87-point thumping that was the Suns over the Eagles at Optus yesterday. Talk to me about whether you saw a result like that on the cards at all from your perspective.
Well, firstly, I thought about calling in sick for number 1, Steve. It was a tough call-up, but look, I didn't see it coming. I didn't see a result like that on the cards. I got sort of swept up in the excitement through the pre-season, new coach, position changes. I thought there was a lot to look forward to, and there still will be, I think, with this West Coast team. But yeah, first up, maybe it is a bit of a reality check for the group with what we saw through the pre-season and all of that hype that inevitably sort of leads into round 1.
I thought maybe, because you wrote in your piece for the match report that the goal in the opening minute of the first term was perhaps a sign of things to come. They did it again in the second quarter. So was that when the nerves started to sort of filter around the 46,000 here at Optus Stadium?
Well, it was the first 15 minutes. I thought the pattern was really set pretty early with the clearance game. The contested ball, I think Gold Coast doubled them in the first 15 minutes with the contested ball and then just got the ball pinned in there, defensive 50 for West Coast. So that was the pattern, and then the second quarter was where it really got a bit ugly and the scoreboard kind of followed the trend of the game. So, yeah, it was early, and I thought pretty much in that first quarter when I saw that pattern that it was going to be a really bad day for West Coast.
I thought it was shades of that Friday night at Optus a couple of years ago where the Suns again just owned the contest inside and out. It was 8 unanswered goals in the second term, and people were looking like, geez, is this our Friday night? Do we have to sit through this entire thing? And then you got Harry Edwards trying to defend Ben King. I mean, different scenario. Yeah. He was pretty underdone coming in, off the bench, disaster in medical room 2 years ago. But again, Harry Edwards tasked with, hey, the ball's going to come in here 70-odd times. Can you just look after Ben King for us while he kicks a career best 6? Oh. And it was one of the worst reruns, just watching it again, since like the lost series finale.
And that was the consistent factor, wasn't it? It was Harry having a really tough day. It was Matt Rao running right through the midfield and Ben King having a great night. So, yeah, I felt for Harry. I felt for the whole backline, really, with the amount of footy that they had to defend. And I thought some of the better performers were probably in that back line, like a Ruben Jinby. I thought was terrific the way that he attacked the game and played a really strong game with his attack on the footy and his defence. So, yeah, it was a really hard night, but good on the back line, I think, for holding up as well as they could.
Let's talk about who you named as best in this performance, though. So you named Baker and Graham as your 1-2 as best West Coast Eagles players. Bake's obviously behind the ball. We'll ask you about that in a second. And Jack Graham was part of this midfield that are going to be licking their wounds all the way up to Sunday's performance against the Lions. Tell us what made them stand out as your 1-2.
Well, Jack Graham, initially, I thought he really set a standard on a night where the senior midfielders probably didn't, they didn't match the Suns' attack on the ball. That was obvious. But I thought Jack Graham showed a lot of fight, and I thought he didn't let up with that side of his game. And Liam Baker looked right at home in defence. There were a few rebounding efforts from Liam where that was something that the Eagles really needed, and I thought both of those guys showed they're going to be really good recruits for the club and really worth investing in. So they were the best two players I thought for West Coast on the night.
You've been in this caper a long time, Schmooky. You've watched a lot of footy, and I'm sure you covered the Richmond dynasty back in the day. Do you want to see Bakes behind the ball personally?
Yeah, absolutely. I just want to see him settled, because he has been thrown around everywhere, and I think he's a great player. I think he's a really good player, and he's obviously capable of playing in a lot of positions. But I think settling him in one position, bringing his leadership behind the ball, and especially in this phase that West Coast are in, where there is going to be a lot of ball in the back half, I think it's a good move to settle him there.
You've been in a lot of post-match press conferences as well. This is your third Eagles coach that you've now been covering. How did you find Mini and sort of his demeanour on the day, pre and of course post in the press conference room?
Well, very different. Sort of the pre, he was really excited, and I think the post, he didn't hide the disappointment.
He's the only Eagles coach to lose on debut, I was told after the game.
Yeah, well, he's stiff, isn't he? It's a really hard thing. I think I'm just putting myself in his shoes and trying to understand what he went through. It would have been filled with so much excitement coming in to coach his first game at West Coast. And then for it to end up like that, I think not having answers would have been the hard thing for him. And he knew everything that went wrong. That was the sense I got from him out of the post-match press conference, that, everything that went wrong could have gone wrong. And just so frustrating, I think, for Andrew, that he tried a lot of different things with personnel, with game style, with system, and nothing worked. So, I got the sense that he was a very frustrated man and very deflated, and is probably really looking forward to digging into the replay and trying to find some answers.
Did you see any semblance of the way that they had been playing in the preseason, the way you've covered them and them trying to implement it on the day, and whether it be the Suns' excellent pressing defence that they had, the missing of handballs, perhaps some skill errors that were costly and they got them on the counter, and the amount of forward half turnovers they had that resulted in scoring shots was an abundance for the Suns. Did you see a little bit of it going forward?
Actually, the second quarter, and this was in the middle of a 9-goal run, but I reckon I saw some flashes of what they want to do under Andrew. And you think back to some of that good ball movement. One of them ended up with Tyrell Dewar, fluffing an inside 50 kick, so not finishing off his work. The other was Elijah Hewitt's missed shot, where he point blank range just missed and looked really frustrated with himself. But those two passages had some really good ball movement, some good build up. And that's what we were looking for. We're just looking for little flashes of how West Coast want to play. They didn't finish off their work on those occasions, but that were just little glimpses of how this team's going to play under Andrew McQualter. And it is only week one. It's the first game they've played at AFL level together under this new system, and hopefully it is going to get better week on week.
Well, it's a marathon, not a sprint. And I'll tell you who said that. It was Adam Simpson, who was, funnily enough, in the Foxtel commentary booth calling the game. Did you have Simo in your ear, and did you have it in the the media box up there? Were you listening to some of his quips? He got caught out saying "we" a couple of times and pulled himself on it on the call, which is hilarious. A great juxtaposition there for Simo.
It was, and it was a bit awkward listening to Simo talk about the Eagles. I thought his commentary was great. And,
it was.
He's clearly got as good an insight as anyone into this team and all of these players and what the club has done in the past. So, Yeah, it was very interesting listening to Simo talk about this West Coast group, but I think he's made a good start to his commentary.
Elijah Hewitt's first game in 568 days. Such an important player for the West Coast Eagles, particularly when a performance like that is highlighted, when they're smashed inside and outside around the contest, and two facets that he can absolutely bring. I know that we've talked about the goal that he's kicking 99 times out of 100. You give him that chance again. Yep. How critical is he going forward, especially in this redeveloping year?
Oh, he's massive. And I think, we only saw that through the midfield and how they struggled against his son's midfield, because they were just powerful, the Gold Coast midfield, and West Coast needed more power in there, and Elijah Hewitt can bring that once he's up and running. But, his game, it was it's clearly his first game in a while, you could see that, but after that missed shot, I thought, you saw some of that frustration come into his game, and I thought his tackling, he tried to assert himself in a different way, but he'll get better every week, and I think it's just critical for the Eagles to get him in that midfield and let him show what he can do, because they need some more power in there and some speed as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, if you're a reserve-seated member for the West Coast Eagles, I know things are looking a bit grim right now, but one game, just calm down. You can actually win 4 tickets to the John Worsfold Medal this year. You can rub shoulders with the likes of Nathan Schmook, who's there on the day. I don't know if you've had a skinful on nights like these or whether you're on the clock, Nathan, but we'll get to that in due course. And of course, the 2025 Eagles team, they'll be floating around. All you got to do is fill your seat. So if you lob to the home games and you're a seated member, automatically in the draw. But if you can't make it, give them to your friends, give them to your family, have the seat on sale program. We got to fill the stadium, because a full Optus gives the boys the best chance to win. So get in on that and join the competition. Let's go from medical front very quickly here, Schmookie. So Waterman subbed out. Ice on the calf. Absolute panic stations from a West Coast Eagle perspective. You think the day can't get any worse, but mini drops in the post-match press conference. It's precautionary.
Yeah, exactly. And that was good news to hear, and hopefully that is the case and he doesn't miss any footy. But we obviously know that he had that issue coming into the game and ended up with ice on it. So I think there's got to be a little bit of doubt there, whether things change during the week and the medical comes back all clear. Cross your fingers for that from a West Coast perspective. But
we got a couple others to look out for, right?
Yeah, well, Jack Hutchinson had a bit of awareness. It was undisclosed awareness, but if that sort of turns out to be a little bit of a hamstring, I've loved his pre-season, loved what he's done on the wing, so that would be another blow for the Eagles. But back on Jake, if he does miss a bit of footy, I think Jack Williams is a player that could come in, and Bailey Williams is obviously waiting there as well as a forward ruck. So yeah, there are options, but you'd much rather have Jake Waterman out there, wouldn't you?
Well, with the Hutch situation, it's an interesting one, because Hunt and Hutch start on the wings, respectively, and Dewar gets selected to go on the back line. Now, that's likely because of Bo Allen's absence. Disclosed was Crook, pulled him out from making his Eagles debut or AFL debut early in the week. But Dewar then gets tasked to go play back. Yeah. And obviously he's shown tremendous signs with that wing position in the preseason through the Pracky games. So, do you then perhaps move Dewar out from back, put him on the wing if Jack has to miss some time? Does Bo Allen come straight back in? There's some decisions to be made in 6 days' time.
I think it makes sense, doesn't it? Yeah, if Hutchinson's missing, then put Dewar on that wing where he showed so much with his speed and creativity. He's got a lot of skill. So, yeah, I was surprised to see him lining up in the back line. But, yeah, Bo Allen, if he can come in for his debut, it'll be a tough one against Brisbane at the Gabba. But he's shown a lot over the pre-season as well. So I think those moves would make sense. And then there's that little bit of doubt over Liam Duggan as well, who aggravated an ankle late in the game and had that iced up as well.
Yeah, okay. And the ruck will be an interesting one to watch, because obviously Jared Witts, he'd be in the conversation for 3 votes. Yeah. Matt Flynn's kind of been brought in to be the tap ruckman to battle the bigger bodies. And you got the big O, Oscar McInerney, ready to roll in Brisbane. It's going to be a tough ask, and I'm sure Bailey Williams is saying would love the opportunity.
And Andrew McQualter's made it pretty clear that it's going to be on form. So, yeah, if he wasn't up to scratch Matt Flynn and they want to go a different way in round 2, then I like Bailey Williams with his scrap at ground level. I think that's probably the difference that he brings to the team. And his best footy he's played where he's following the footy and just tackling or surging the ball forward. So that'd be an option, I think, against the Lions.
The big fella Archer Reid, he plays his first Eagles game, one of many, I'm assuming, 203 centimetres. He's a big boy, but he was talking post-game. He was standing up to Witts and looking at him. He said, mate, he still had heaps of height on me, and I've never experienced an opposition where I'm looking up to before, which makes a ton of sense. Yep. A good story, he's arrived at the club in 2023, bung knee, got it scanned, something wrong with it, came back, did his time, ended up playing 15 games in the waffle and came into some pretty good form at the end of the year. Was rewarded not just because of his preseason games that he played, but more just the work and body of work over the summer to get himself in that spot. Pick 30 in 2023, he was our number one pick, I think, on night 2, or he was pretty close to it, and a lot of clubs were coming for that pick because they have the overnight to think about it, and they're coming in saying, we'll give you this many picks down the track if we can take that one. We saw Archer Reed there and said, nah, that's too good of an opportunity to miss. Signed to the end of 2027. What do you like about him?
Well, his footy smarts. Firstly, that's what West Coast people have always spoken about, that he's come in, he's really good between the ears, and his work rate as well, which we saw over the summer. Everyone was speaking about how big a pre-season he'd put together, and yeah, he obviously got rewarded for that. It was a tough debut. Jared Witts, I agree, he was either best on ground or second to Noah Anderson or Matt Rowell, whichever way you want to go there. Damien Hardwick thought Jared Witts had played one of the best games he'd seen from a ruckman, so that tells you what his performance was like and how difficult it would have been for Archer Reed when he did rotate through the ruck, which he did quite a bit sort of later in the game. So well done for him on getting rewarded and making his debut, but it was a tough one first up.
All right, so where are we ranking these two moments from a Suns perspective? They've probably taken mark of the week and kicked goal of the week in the same game. Yeah. Do any of them hang on to the end of the year and win the grand prize, do you reckon?
Well, the Ben King mark was amazing. I think that's the one that got most people out of their seats. The long goal was, it's a nice one, but the mark was superb. So if that one hangs on, I wouldn't be surprised.
I felt for Harry because he's turned around to look and feel, and he's just become the incidental perfect stepladder in the position as well.
Yep, he was just sitting there, just absolutely ready to go, and Ben King lined him up, I reckon, a few seconds out.
Now, the crowd had an initiative for anyone that went to the game. I think Crown are running it, so you can take a set shot from about 20 metres out directly in front for $50, or you can go on the boundary line for $500 and be the glory of Optus Stadium and have a crack. I want to know what you're doing. You've got a bit of footballing in your background. Severely bung arm going on here, which we'll get the story of next week. So what are you picking? Do you want a guaranteed 50, or are you going to chance it and be a hero for the fans?
No, give me the guaranteed 50, mate. I'll take the cash.
You're just not backing yourself in from distance, or is it the injury that's holding you back?
Oh, both. Yeah, the injury's holding me back, but I haven't gone at that distance for a long time now.
Schmooky, tough scenario coming on round 1, discussing that. I'm sure there are brighter times ahead. We're going to have you every fortnight after the Eagles home game to basically break it down and give your area of expertise of what you saw and what you noticed in the game. Appreciate you lobbying for this one, and we'll see you in 2 weeks, big fella.
Pleasure, mate. Look forward to it.
That's it for the first episode of Coast to Coast, wrapping up week 1. Tough times indeed, but we'll be back. Don't forget, tonight at Hungry Jack's, there is an in-store visit happening in Cannington. It's with the big loosh, Jake Waterman, and AFLW's Bella Lewis. Now, Jake will be, I reckon he's close to the ice machine, getting that car sorted, so great place for him to be chilling tonight. Head along, show your support, grab an autograph, chew the fat with a couple of Eagles stars. And later in the week, Matt Prittis will be joining us here in studio. The rare appearance, the Brownlow medalist just hates talking about himself, doing media, but it was just absolutely thrilling to get him here to discuss what's been happening in his life, talk a bit of footy. He came in to do a bit of a chat with the first to 3-year players at the Eagles, and he gave Thumper a bit of time. So that's happening later this week. Check it out. Again, thanks for your company, and we'll see you in a few days.